Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Much love, blessed people. Thanks for being part of this Evolutionary EEARTS Hearts Home Patreon Ko-Fi family.
Thank you.
It's been a bit since we did one on Hearts Home, and we plan on trying to get some more structured. Again, it's kind of tough going from news to the spiritual because we are in momentous times of just incredible change. And yes, we've been touching on the Bible a little bit and saying that you can get some truths in there. You can get some knowledge in there. I want to say that anything you could find in the Bible, you can find in other systems and other traditions. And it'll be a little clearer because, again, the control system is such that they don't want you understanding it. They want to give you divine mysteries. Only we could interpret it for you. Yes, you must trust the church to interpret it correctly for you. No. This is something that each one of us is having a unique journey, and so we are to interpret it for ourselves. That's the whole importance behind everything.
And we all have a right to our own belief system. We all have a right to know and understand our truth. And in this day and age, so many people are coming online, so many people are waking up, and it really is quite a struggle because they're not telling us the truth about what's happening to our bodies, what's happening to our consciousness. There's a few things in the Bible that I can look at and see the truth in. One of them, I don't know if you guys have read that part in the Bible where it says you will be born again. And that speaks so loudly to what we're going through now. We are changing as a species. We are changing in our evolution. We have this energy and I knew 5 years ago that it was really going to become rampant within the next 10 years. And I feel we have hit its peak of this thing we call a Kundalini awakening. And I, having a very bad experience, I don't like it. That might sound really harsh, but I had a bad experience and it's taken me a very long time to balance things out and work through a lot of traumas, get through a lot of issues, work through a lot of turmoil, because when this energy comes front and center, so many things in your life that you have not dealt with, so many things in your life that you cannot deal with are going to come face to face with you. And it can be very difficult. It's like the world becomes a mirror. There's a lot of different things that start to occur in one's life when you have this, I'll call it an energy release, because we are all here. If you're listening to this, you're probably dealing with it now. And there's ways that we can deal with it so it is not so traumatic. But it's more like working through your stuff. And the universe has a way of putting stuff right in front of you. So you have to face it. You have to look at it. And that's where so many people are. But keep in mind, there's a lot of alternative therapies out there. Somebody might think, oh, I'm having headaches every day. They're horrible. I'm having these cluster headaches. Go to the doctor, get a pill, cover that up. But what that does is there's a block there already energetically, and you're covering that block up with some paint, invisible paint. And guess what? The energy is going to come out anywhere it can because there's really no stopping it.
So, how to awaken Kundalini Shakti. Shiva Shakti. Shiva, like consciousness itself, Shakti is the manifesting power, which is thought of in the divine feminine terms. And when we look to so many things, like we see beings that have wings, does that mean they can fly? Sometimes, probably yes. When we look at the two snakes intertwined, that is again a reference often to the Pingala and the Ida, the masculine, feminine nadis. Nadis are energy centers. The body's full of nadis. And the Shekhinah rides right through the center. When these energies are balanced, these intersection points are where the chakras are. There are nerve plexuses in the body, and you could look that up in medical books, right at these points where the chakras are. And so you have to clear the emotional baggage so that it can run up and through, give you your wings. And then you also have this glowing halo at the top that occurs, right? Glowing halo. So if we look to Acts and you hear this is Pentecost. Suddenly a sound like a mighty rushing wind came from heaven and filled the whole house where they were sitting. And they saw tongues like flames of fire that separated, came to rest on each of them. And they were filled with the Holy Spirit. They began to speak in other tongues as the Spirit enabled them. If somebody's Christian, they think, well, it's just, speaking in tongues is one of the gifts, as is prophecy, as is healing, and it's only for Christians. No, it's not just for Christians. Again, it has nothing to do with dogma. It's all about initiating the Kundalini flow. Now, a yogi can initiate the Kundalini, and that does happen often, and it's part of the yogic tradition. It could be devastating for people if they're not ready. If you haven't worked through your baggage, it could be absolutely traumatic, devastating, and could end up with you in the loony bin or on some sort of medications that the doctor has prescribed for you in order to manage your emotional outbursts, per se. Now, there's something called there's something called our Wei Qi field, which is very important to develop. The Wei Qi field, Wei is external in Chinese, Qi is the life force. And so what we really do on a regular basis is consciously draw the life force into the body in a way to build up this Wei Qi field, which does have the added benefit of giving us not only protection against pathogens, but also protection against dark energies that will attach to people. And just like the little angel on one shoulder and devil on the other shoulder, these are like those devils on the other shoulder that will tempt you to do things that are going to be harmful to yourself and cause misery, because they are literally going to feed off of that misery. When you develop your Wei Qi field through a practice like Qigong, you can do it in other ways through conscious intent, whether it's yoga, Qigong, Tai Chi, other forms of meditation, guided meditations. The mantras will literally help to build up this Wei Qi field. This is a process that really takes time. And again, humanity doesn't have patience in this age. And that has been cultivated purposefully. A lack of time, because who has the time? Because we have to work so much to pay our bills, etc. We don't take the time to work through our issues. And instead, the system says, take this magic pill and your issues will go away. They haven't gone away. They're still there. So in our nadis, and not to go too technical, but there's these channels, and here you're looking at major ones, but there's thousands of nadis in the body. The body's loaded with these energetic channels. Think of the vascular network. Think of veins all throughout the body. There's the energetic component to veins and artery all through the body. And then there's luo channels, which these luo or lao channels, they grow off the nadis, and they literally become storage points for emotions we can't process. And right now, the planet is being asked to purge everything that's holding itself back at this moment, at this time period. And every time we see these big major blasts coming from the sun, it's calling on people to let go of emotions. It could be negative emotions when you were bullied at 7 years old. It could be, it could be anything from childhood. It might even be from past life that is still traumatizing you in this life. Like I've shared, I worked on a lady that her ankles kept swelling, and I could work on her. Her ankles would not swell for about 3 weeks, but just like clockwork, they would come back and they'd start swelling. And it turned out she ended up doing a past life regression, and she found out that she had stepped in water in the basement that was electrified, and it killed her in her last life. This was manifesting in this life as edema. This is part of, an understanding that most people don't seem to have because it's been hidden from our view. There are no divine mysteries per se. They're just laws of nature that are being covered over, so people cannot fully function. And we're being asked in this time to work through a heck of a lot of trauma, and it can lead to, all sorts of acts of chaos. And you're going to see people acting crazy and acting out. And those are the people that have been literally washing the emotions under the table and not facing the things they have to face, because the earth is ascending. When we got the message, and I saw the visions of the Chinese dragons in the earth, that's symbolizing the earth Kundalini is awakening. All of our Kundalinis are awakening. And we need to process this. The higher self is much bigger than the single incarnation. The higher self is aware of all the traumas. We are pulling ourselves upward. The Kundalini, as you see here, to activate the unconscious means to awaken the divine, the Devi, the Kundalini. And think about how they've made that word Devi, Ya Devi. That's actually a positive term in Hinduism, and yet they've turned it into devil. They want us terrified of the higher versions of ourselves. So when we see this, the Holy Spirit at Pentecost, tongues of fire, where? On the crown chakras. These people are getting in touch with their higher selves. So when we talk about the Holy Spirit, we're really talking about a Kundalini awakening through, again, the Kundalini energy. And the Kundalini energy is also the serpent in so many ways. It's the serpent in the Bible. Wisdom. Why are serpents wisdom? The symbology of a serpent is that of wisdom, because then we know. But the emotional traumas, again, block the chakras from opening and staying open. And if we are kept in a fight or flight situation, then we're going to have our root chakras blocked. If we don't know who we are as far as gender, that's going to block our sacral chakra. If you've been traumatized, you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you were born into original sin, that's going to traumatize your solar plexus chakra. On down the line, if you can't speak your truth, then it's going to block your throat chakra. And there's so many things that block our heart chakras, like anger, hatred, all these negative emotions that are cultivated by the system. Why? Because they don't want us fully functioning. And yet this is what this is pointing to. And this can bring a sensation of something so much more than just being this body. As you see different representations, this is awakened crown chakra. That's all it is. That's all it is. And it's also the divine feminine energy. When you see this depiction, and this I thought was kind of cool because it reminded me of Isis, as one of the symbols of Isis is the peacock. But when we look to Isis, Aset was her name, and you see again, she's got these horns, and it's a glowing diadem. It looks kind of like a moon in this depiction. Again, that's an illuminated crown chakra. And Isis, Aset, was an extraterrestrial being that comes from the Sirius star system, that came in the golden age to help us.
So there's a whole lot going on in this day and age that they simply don't tell us about, because if you are working on this energy that we all have, and it's all coming awake right now, you're going to be able to see and sense right through the mainstream, no problem. You'll be able to look at someone and, that small voice inside of you that says, okay, do this, do that, say this, say that. that becomes louder. So it's like this energy is turning up a dial for your inner voice. Now, if your inner voice has been stifled, if you've been traumatized, it's going to turn this energy up in an adverse way that's not going to help. A really good example is so many children have problems with their throat chakra as adults. So when this energy is activated inside of you and you never worked through speaking your truth, you could end up with a whole lot of different throat issues, thyroid issues. You know, you can get rashes in the throat area because this energy, when it's not free flowing, it's going to make itself known. And it's very much, it's so natural. It's not like you can stop it. It's like just part of who we are. It's part of being, speaking, walking. It's part of seeing. It's just a natural influence that we have. And it all depends on how we have grown up. What traumas do we have in life? How do we balance this energy? And I see this is just becoming more and more prevalent as days go on. People don't realize what's happening to them, and it'll never be on mainstream. You're never going to find this information, because if we understood, you know, what is happening to us, we could work on it. And there's a lot of different things you can do to help balance this energy out in your body. When you work on this energy, and it can take years, you know, this is not something that's like instant. It's not instant. But if you do start noticing, like, you cannot tolerate certain things are really starting to bother you now to the point you have to say something, whereas before you were able to just cover it up or ignore it. And I call a lot of it white knuckling. Sometimes all of those so-called coping mechanisms just go out the window. It's like you can no longer tolerate certain things. You have to say something. And that's because there's a lot of trauma. And there is a way you can sit with this trauma and learn to transmute it. But you have to take the time off work. You have to be able to prioritize this energy. It has to become priority. And what makes me so sad in this day and age, so many things are thrown up in front of us to distract us from prioritizing our ability to help ourselves grow and help ourselves heal. And once you do go through this energy, I mean, it's in various stages, and you can maintain it in a certain way. You can grow it. It can go back to sleep. It's all up to us. But guess what? It's happening to almost everybody now. So it's nothing that's it's nothing that's really rare any longer. You know, it's just, what do you want to do with it? It's like, here, we've all been handed this energy. Now it's up to us. What do you want to do with it? And the best thing to do is go through certain things like doing Tai Chi, doing Qigong, doing things like breathing to help balance this energy out, and definitely working on yourself, putting yourself first. You know, a lot of moms are so busy, they put themselves at the bottom of the pile, but now is not the time. We can't do that, because you'll just end up sicker and sicker and sicker, because this energy force is going to go through your body, and it wants to be recognized. It needs to be recognized. It's like getting new taste buds, and you're going to taste them. This energy is going to come through you, whether you like it or not. And we could go to a doctor and we could keep taking pills for it, or we can understand that, hey, this is my divine right. This is a divine gift, and this is something that I can utilize, and I can make my life better and other people's lives better. This is where, if you're doing mantras and meditation and you are able to radiate love outside of yourself, and you do this on a regular basis for years, you are creating such an energy field, such a beautiful energy field around you, that you're protecting other people. And we need that. We need that right now. People do need some protection from the forces that are out there, these controlling forces. And most people that are listening to this, I guarantee you guys are a light anchor, and you're ones that can grow this energy and build this energy and utilize this energy in a positive way. It just takes a little bit of time. But there's a lot to be said about it, and there's a lot that's not being said about it because they don't want us to know that we can create such a protective bubble around ourselves and around our loved ones and, around our whole area, wherever we're at. They want us to just think that you're just one little person that really has very little power to do anything. You're all by yourself. And, look at how they're secluding people. I mean, they come up with this plague upon the land, and then all of a sudden everybody has to stay secluded. And that's because when you get in close proximity to someone, if you are radiating love, you're going to ignite that other person's heart chakra. And guess what? That heart chakra ignites the other heart chakra, and so on and so on. It's catchy like a virus, but it's the opposite. It is love. And that's where we're headed.
So when we read from Britannica talking about the Shekhinah, it literally means dwelling or presence. In Jewish theology, the presence of God in the world. Well, where's the dwelling place of God? It's inside each one of us because Source is in us. That's the bottom line. And again, we talk about self-realization coming from the Hindu tradition, and that's recognizing that you're not the body. You're something other than the body. The spirit, the eternal part of us is dwelling in the body, but it's not the body. So again, this is what that's talking about. And again, the Shekhinah is thought of to be of a feminine nature, a divine feminine. And again, you can see how they've tried to cut all this out. Now, why do we focus on the Abrahamic tradition? Because, it's more than 50% of the world's lens that they look through. It's, like 65% of the world is coming from this point of view. And so, again, it's coming from the controller's point of view, which is one that's distorted. Yet at the same time, if you look closely, you'll see that, in the mystery traditions and the Kabbalah and Hermeticism, you'll find that there's the same thoughts that we see spoken of openly in Taoist philosophy, coming out of the Hindu tradition, coming out of many other more animistic traditions around the globe. Shekhinah is the English name of God in its feminine motherly manifestation. Where is that, ever really in the Bible? Again, it's so hidden up. But there again, we can say Shiva Shakti. Shakti, is that feminine essence. And Shekhinah is the feminine essence. It's also the transformative essence too. And again, Kundalini lies dormant in most people in a dark age. Now it's activated. And in fact, when you see those photos of different Egyptians, like, or those perceived to be Egyptians, like Aset, often you'll see snakes coming out of the third eye, and that's a designation, again, of just how large and how powerful that person's Kundalini is.
Mm-hmm. The jewelry that they wear, it all has symbolism, it all has meaning. It speaks to this person and what power do they carry within them. And you can, work with this energy, but it's most important to heal your traumas, because without that, that's where the problem lies. I mean, you no longer, it's like you no longer have the ability to use your old coping mechanisms. I don't even like coping mechanisms anymore, because isn't that just something that, keeps us in a bad situation longer? We have to learn to allow this energy to free flow the way that it needs to. And to do that, we have to dissolve the blocks that are in our chakras. And so many people are going through this. And that's why I like to say, you never know what traumas somebody is going through. So you always want to be kind. When in doubt, be kind. Because someone might be dealing with this energy and they have no idea really what's going on. They're just doing their best to get from one day to the next. And look at the trauma that they pile on top of us from our work to our school, to just, really being in this culture is quite difficult. But when this energy awakens, it all comes to the forefront, and all of a sudden it's like you have to deal with it. There's no more going around it. And that snake, here in the West, it's the serpent. It's a ucky thing. It's something that is, in the West, it's said to be deceitful. But that snake, that's the wisdom that we gain from all of the things that we work through from one lifetime to the next. And as this energy rises up the spine, we get more and more information. You gain more wisdom. And when you're looking at the Egyptian cultures and you're looking at the jewelry that they wear, it all has purpose, and it has a purpose in also balancing their aura, balancing their energy, giving them these abilities to, create a very protective bubble, possibly over many, many people, because they have built this energy up over lifetimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Here you see a little serpent action there. Again, the serpents, this is the Kundalini, this is the Ida and the Pingala. This is what it's talking about, the illumination. And again, they understood this. Now, when we look to Egypt, what are we really seeing? Because again, there are distortions out there, and some are just, saying this is Anunnaki. No, this is Sirius, the Sirius star system. This is, information coming from Sirius, with the Anunnaki again. Very, very different. They come in, they cover up everything. They cover up all the wisdom. And, again, you could still find things in there. Like, don't you know that you're a temple of God? God's Spirit lives in you. Of course, Source is in you. So there is truth, Corinthians 3:16. Temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. Yeah, absolutely. Source is within us. You don't need any forgiveness for anything. You need to just move beyond all the limitations that have been put on you. And again, guilt is such a negative emotion to lay upon another, which is what, again, has been done. So again, God in its feminine, motherly manifestation. Shekhinah glory is a visible manifestation of God on earth, whose presence is portrayed through a natural occurrence, dwelling, or the one that dwells. And a lot of times you will see Shekhinah glory. What do you see? You see golden light or white light everywhere. Well, again, it's all about the illuminated light body. And again, gold is a very high vibrational color. So this is really what it's talking about. And it's not something outside of us. It's something to be cultivated within. Again, they're always trying to create the opportunity for a power structure. And the Gnostics, again, they knew that you had to have an experiential. That means you have to experience it for yourself to know it. You can't get it through just listening to somebody talk about something. You got to do it for yourself, and this takes work, and this takes spiritual dedication and daily practice. So when you look, again, they're talking about Shekhinah glory. You see these golden lights, golden rays, golden aura. It's all about that. And there's the intertwining, again, of the Ida and the Pingala. So, again, it's not just out there in the open in the West. It's not out there in the open. You have to look a little bit closer, because again, it's all about maintaining a power structure, and it has been. And that's why there's a Western mystery tradition, because, if you openly spoke about it, you would be a heretic, and that would be the end of you in this incarnation. But in the East, in Hinduism, this is just basically understood. Sanatana Dharma, in Taoism, the duality of all things, the yin and the yang, which are manifestations of the unity of consciousness, which is the all.
Mm-hmm. And the strongest part of this energy, the strongest aspect of this energy is love. It's cultivating that heart chakra. When we do that, that actually has chemical or electrical reactions, and people can feel it from you. If you've ever been in a room and someone walks in and either the room goes dark or maybe the room lights up. If people have said to you, wow, you just really light up a room, that's a really activated heart chakra. That's somebody that could be past life, and that's just what they carry with them in this life. And that can be cultivated and made even stronger. So when you utilize this for the love aspect of things, this love that we receive from our children and our pets, the most innocent type of love, that's where the power lies. And they just want to make sure they have a nice big traumatizing lead blanket over all of us so that we cannot express this energy. If we do express this much of this good energy, things could not turn out the way they want them to. We might just turn out and be okay. We might just turn out and be able to take our power back and be able to help one another through so many things. And one thing trauma also does is it separates us from each other, because people are so sensitive. They need to hide away. And it's because their emotional feelings are so easily hurt by other damaged people. And that's the big secret. That's the big reveal that we're dealing with right now. Is it's like the only thing you can do to help other people right now is work on you. That's the biggest gift you could give anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, when you look at these things, the light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, the whole body shall be full of light. That's, again, recognizing that once we initiate the Kundalini, the third eye is awakened and the body is full of light. It's giving off that glow. I and the Father are one, are realizing, again, that Source is in you, that Source dwells within you. You are Source. Are we the entirety of Source? Of course not, but Source is within us. So, it's understanding these things, and again, Yeshua, the real Yeshua, the real Mary, they don't want any sort of, they're not demanding any sort of being put up on a pedestal. They don't want your worship. They want you just to understand your human potential.
Right. I mean, that saying, greater things you will do. He came here to show us what we can do, what we're capable of if we wish to cultivate that. There's many ways to do that. But the fact remains is that the energy is here. It's with us now, and we can do what we please with it. The best thing I think to do is to work on yourself and to cultivate that love energy, open up that heart chakra, because that's where all the truth comes through. And you really start to be able to reach out into situations and read the truth of things and read the other information. And it's something that takes time, but if that's something that you want to do, it's like we all have that ability. It's there. And now is a really wonderful time to start to understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're going to do greater things than Yeshua Jesus? Well, if we live up to our potential, we really can, especially in these times, because we're moving out of a dark age. And he came, in the thick of the Kali Yuga. The Holy Spirit, the Shekhinah, the divine feminine presence, that which initiates the Kundalini and the illumination from within, that which can overcome the blockages in the chakras and give us our wings. And again, the wings also are relating to the Merkaba, the light body being fully activated. Well, the mission of the church, that's where they divide us, is the mission of the church, thinking you need to belong to any one particular church. You don't need to belong to anything. You be you. That's the big part where they catch us, and they try to trap us into one dogma. Yeah, there's no one dogma fits all. There's no one correct way to do things, because why would Source break itself up into countless pieces of it, countless fractals, because this is a fractal universe. Again, these are all, basic spiritual 101 that we would all totally get in like a silver or a golden age. And even in the latter bronze, most people would understand this inherently. Yet it's only in the Dark Age that this type of stuff becomes obfuscated, and we can't see clearly because of the distortion of the system hiding the real truths of the unity of all things and the human potential.
And, the more trauma that we have, that energy that we carry inside of us, guess what? It's amplified the opposite way. And then it gets used for food, and then it gets used for loosh. And that's exactly what the control structure, they know this. They understand it to the fullest. They go to completely different schools than we do. They raise their children differently than we do because they know these things.
Absolutely. So hopefully you guys found this interesting. We look forward to your comments. Please share far and wide. Much love. God bless, and namaste.
Namaste.